Cannabis.
Sativa.
Dope.
Indica.
Weed.
Leaf. This is Leaf Life.
All things cannabis for all people.
Now, here are your hosts, Ricker and the Bearded Lorax.
We publish a free magazine called The Leaf that is available in print in 13 states at your local cannabis retailer and also available online at leafmagazines.com. My name's Mike Ricker, and I'm your host of Leaf Life with my co-host Wes Abney, also known as the Bearded Lorax.
I speak for the trees.
And of course, there's Stashly.
The token female.
And Mary J. White.
The smoking female.
As people continue to suffer from a wide spectrum of maladies, profitable prescription drugs are hitting the market all the time. But as our instincts tell us to move forward in the search for the cures to a healthy mind and body, would it be wiser to instead look back? This is traditional medicine.
From the Garden of Eden to natural healing.
In our first segment, native to the land, and we'll touch on like Native American medicine in that as well. In our second segment, the new modern science. But before we get educated, we got to get medicated.
Yes.
So let's get stoned.
Woo.
Here we go again, people. Wherever your day has led you, now it's time to drink up, chew up, fire up, whatever you got to do to get in the mood as we introduce this show's Greg the Guinea Pig.
Hi, I'm Greg, and Ricker used to try his weed out on me. But now it's someone else's turn to be the guinea pig.
See that, Stash? There's the Leaf Life Fairy.
I know.
I haven't seen him in a while, have you?
He only shows up once a show, though.
What about when you lose a tooth?
Yeah.
Oh,
Different
that's
fairy,
nice.
Stash. Different fairy.
Yeah, Stash.
Well, does he give you coins under your pillow or
It's a
weed
joint.
nugs?
No, that's
Nugs.
the talisman when you're going to Hades. Oh, I'm sorry. That's in your eyes.
Yeah, you get money from the tooth
Over
fairy,
your
man.
head.
I don't know what you're talking
No,
about
I
right
do
now.
know. It's
Crossing
the river
the-
of Hades.
the river
dude.
Styx.
The river
Styx,
Styx,
okay.
whatever.
I gotcha.
I watched Hercules. I know what the fuck I'm talking about.
You know what the Kraken is.
Yeah.
She's got a Kraken. So today we've got Kitty KEENE. She's a production assistant at FARECHILD Events. It's a cannabis company that throws really fun events, and also a botanical healer. Kitty, welcome to the Leaf Life podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Hell yeah. She's got cat ears on, you guys, and
She's
they're like
adorable.
diamond encrusted. She's a
Yeah.
real
Thank
kitty.
you.
All right, now let's see what you're going to be hitting as we spin Stash's wheel to see what's in Stash's stash.
And now, what's in Stash's stash? Will it land on the Nug Jug, the dab saucer, the vape cart, the edible, the infused drink, the inhaler, or the suppository?
Which one is it this time, Stash?
We're doing a vape cart. Well, actually, it's a disposable.
Oh, nice.
Disposable vape cart.
Yeah,
Look
from
at that.
California. This is called CAM Supply Company from CAM Dispensaries.
Nice.
And this is their Biscotti-oti-oti. Biscotti.
Oh, that's nice. Look at that.
And it's rechargeable.
Yeah, they're...
Disposable, rechargeable.
Oh, really?
So you
Cool.
don't lose out on oil if your battery
Yeah.
dies.
Kick
That's
ass.
cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Technology.
Nice.
Everybody's got disposables these days, but, you know, I was in California recently for the Hall of Flowers event, or was it Emerald Cup, Wes? I can't remember. They all blend together. And I brought this back with me because I was so darn impressed with CAM. They're a highly reputable company in California, and doggone it, there's a lot of great weed down there. So,
Yeah.
Kitty, hit her up.
That's a live resin, too.
Oh, I just
it
did,
smells
but I'll do it again.
delicious.
There she goes.
How's it taste?
That's a good looking disposal right there. It's
Yeah,
got-
it's actually got a nice feel to it as well. It's
Oh.
really flavorful. It's very fresh.
There you go.
Nice.
That's what we're looking for. High
Yeah.
grade.
It's
Yum.
right, baby.
All right,
Thanks, Cam.
Yeah, way to go, Cam. Is the cam on now? Is the cam on?
Cams are all on.
All right. Let's point the cam towards Kitty right now and get a shot of those beautiful ears, cat ears, and talk about traditional medicine. And you mentioned, off the air, Kitty, that Native Americans really had the right idea. And when we talk about how native to the land, we're really talking about plant medicine. What grows through the soil is obviously healing to our bodies because, we're made of the same stuff, really. Compared to synthetic drugs that are made in a laboratory, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. They say, we came from the dust, and so do plants as well. So that marriage between the two, it seems like it would keep us in a better state of homeostasis.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I really believe that there's a lot of knowledge that's been lost over the years and the generations through colonization and through cultural genocide, that we have lost our connection, our deep connection to the land. And the indigenous people are known as being the healers and the stewards of the land and of the waters. And so it only makes sense to be returning to the people who knew the land the best to learn about how we can move forward when we have so much research around Western medicine and pharmaceutical medicines and therapies that we kind of don't have another pathway forward with them. We've used so much resources and we've gone through so many trials to figure out how Western medicine can cure us. But it mostly focuses on how to keep us alive, rather than healing our being and healing our entire lifestyles.
Well, it's more like Western medicine tends to focus on the effect rather than the cause.
Yeah, exactly. Like the symptoms versus the root cause to things. Because as we know, we've through our lives, and we do find out, especially through cannabis and a lot of self-medication through cannabis, that we have found that it can alleviate multiple symptoms, and multiple symptoms can come from that one thing.
Yeah.
What medicines do come from the ground that you're familiar with?
There's a lot. Right now I have water with me that I've infused with lemon balm and lemongrass as well. And lemon balm has actually been used for to open up the mind, and has even helped with dementia, really rehabilitating some of the brain functions as well.
And it can grow naturally here in the Northwest. It looks like mint.
It grows everywhere,
We're here in Seattle today broadcasting. And, obviously there's a plethora of different medicines that come from the ground that the Native Americans use in a number of different ways.
Yeah.
My dad grew up with the Sioux Indians out in South Dakota, and they would send him out to pick random things in the woods, little sprigs, and then they'd take of aspen trees, right? And then they'd take the bark off of it and chew on that for analgesic,
Yeah.
A lot of stuff. Nettles, stinging nettles.
Yeah,
absolutely hate them growing up in the Northwest, but you chop it up, put it in tea, inflammation, circulation. And as we know now, inflammation, it can cause so much fibromyalgia and mental health issues and, obviously joints and muscle tissue and everything like that. But cannabis is anti-inflammatory. We should all be doing.
And stinging nettles as well?
Yes, sir.
Well,
Can you snort
mint.
I wouldn't.
I definitely wouldn't.
Inflame a joint.
Yeah.
Nettle and mint are actually one of my tribe's traditional teas for our winter wellness. And so you bring that up and bring up those points of anti-inflammation properties and things like that, then that really plays a role in kind of what I'm talking about. And I do want to mention, I did grow up on my tribal land, which is the Cowlitz people. We are a coastal Salish tribe. Well, we are an inland Salish tribe, but we are along the coast here. And I am at the Taidnapam, which is the upper Cowlitz, and that's our dialect. Before settlers came in, we were one of the largest tribes, in Washington State, period, but also in the country. Wow. And then after genocide and through disease and settlement, there was only about 250 of us left.
Wow.
And now we have about 5,000 of our people back.
Oh, wow. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's like the bald eagle.
I also have fibromyalgia, so it's really interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and a lot of pharmaceuticals come, like you mentioned, Ricker, from plants. So, whether it's aspirin or penicillin, that's from a fungus. But nature is, creating these things kind of naturally. And then Western medicine wants to isolate that one chemical or that one element and recreate it. And it's not that pharmaceuticals are bad, in my opinion. It's just that because we need both. We
Yeah.
need, you know, specific treatments that science can extract from nature and make more either potent or time release or even remove some poison or a negative attribute from it. But all that already kind of existed in nature. And they say that like in the jungles, the rainforests, there's cures waiting to be found. There's still insects and animals and, you know, fungal spores that we haven't identified. And we're actually cutting all those trees down.
Yeah, for the palm oil. So don't eat palm oil.
And that's the worst. We're kind of committing genocide now against our natural environment. And
that
missing
continues that cultural genocide, you know, that continues to take away the things that these people that are indigenous, that are aboriginals to these different lands, that they used for generation upon generation, that they now don't have anymore. The biggest example I have for my people is huckleberries. We used to do seasonal burns for huckleberry patches because the land itself would overgrow and it would cause disease to the land. And without doing these seasonal burns, disease took over the land and the huckleberry patches are completely gone. Now you have to go and find just individual bushes. And it used to be a lot more widespread. I remember when I was younger, just even when I was a kid, I would go camping and I would find huckleberries
everywhere.
And now they're really hard to find because, I mean, settlement is really not that old here.
Well, it's all an ecosystem. So like I've noticed in years recently, less insects, less bugs, which sounds nice. It's like, oh, less mosquitoes. But, you know, you take away different building blocks of the environment and then you have disease in the land. And I think that's where, like, if we were to step back at Earth, it's like almost terminal. You know, we're like pretty sick as a planet. Our water.
They say, they say that the skin, you know, is I went to school to be an esthetician and I learned about Ayurveda and holistic aesthetics. And they say that, you know, shows the first warning signs. And so what is the land to the earth? It is the skin of the earth. And so it's going to show the first warning signs. And we've been seeing them through these last couple of years, especially. How much of these forest fires have we experienced? And how much of these different diseases have been not just coming to our surface. This is new for us, this pandemic for our generations, but it's continually morphing and it's continually adapting. And that is something that's also very new for us.
Like the idea of Gaia, like the you know, Mother Earth. It sounds kind of like some hippie, you know, or indigenous like voodoo almost, but it
like
really is
right?
but I mean the Earth has been here for billions of years. You know, life has been here for millions and millions of years, if not over a billion. Like it's been alive a lot longer than we have, and we're fucking it up. Basically.
Overfishing, overpopulating, over just consumption of everything.
Just not going with the seasons of where we are.
Over partying.
Over partying. That's
Don't judge
problem. We're not looking at you, Stash.
That actually does play a role because, you know, there's a lot of Native Americans that believe that cannabis is a drug and we shouldn't use mind-altering substances, which is a little bit, to me, it kind of goes against somewhat of the other practices that a lot of other tribes do. And then there's the RFRA Act, which actually protects using psychedelics and other things like that for spiritual gain until you're using cannabis. Cannabis is like one of the only things that you'll still continue to get in trouble for over RFRA. And that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I think that goes back to the economical value that colonization found through cannabis and through hemp, specifically through hemp. I know that even just through the draft that Native Americans were creating the soldiers' uniforms out of hemp. And once I feel like, this is what I researched and how I feel upon it, that when they saw power being given to our people and that they saw that we could create our own economy without them using hemp, that actually did foster a lot of the reason as to why it made it illegal. And that was even before psychedelic cannabis was made illegal, which was through monopolizing the paper industry.
Exactly. And we could get into that deeply and the corruption and cover up of how cannabis has been demonized and stigmatized over the past 100 years.
And that's affected our spiritual practice so much.
There you go.
Yeah.
And in the second segment, we'll discuss how the new modern science is traditional medicine. But first, Kitty, it's time for you to play the Weirded Lorax.
Now, can we all just get a long hair?
A long hair.
So
weird.
This is the Weirded Lorax.
All right, Kitty, which of these events actually happened?
Oh dear.
There's 3 here, okay? Number 1, the bearded Lorax was once kept in a zoo before escaping by creating rope from his beard and slinging it over the wall. Then after the staff embarked on a massive missing bearded Lorax search, he was eventually discovered spooning with a panda. Unfortunately, pandas are only fertile 3 days out of the year, and this was not during that period, so there was no chance of an accidental species emerging known as the bearded panda.
Oh, wow.
That's number 1. Number 2. Wes was abducted into a UFO by a species of hairless aliens who had been searching the galaxies for millennia for a specific animal with whom to cross-pollinate for introducing hair into their DNA after returning back to their home planet called Bald. Fortunately for the bearded Lorax, these star-sailing aliens were repulsed by the remnants of leftover Costco chicken bake that was discovered in his pants pocket, which resulted in his immediate return to the planet by dumping him at the bottom of Hoover Dam.
I do love chicken bakes.
My gosh.
And number 3, in the warm summer waters of the Gulf of Mexico, on artist Tom Stevens' fishing boat, the bearded Lorax shared a romantic swim with a Florida manatee who had mistakenly recognized him as a possible suitor with whom to start a family. Although the manatee was deeply attracted to the bearded Lorax, the docile creature swam away after realizing that the important element of blowhole compatibility was simply missing from the relationship. 1, 2, or 3?
I gotta go with 3. I
that's-
gotta go with 3.
It's the blowhole.
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah, it's the blowhole.
No manatees were harmed in that story.
Wow,
That was great.
good visual too, right?
She
Yeah,
knows
that
her
was
bearded
great.
Loraxes. You know? Hey, if you want to dive into every Leaf magazine to discover cannabis news, reviews, entertainment, and culture, just hop over to leafmagazines.com. Coming up in part 2 today, we'll explore why traditional medicine is in some ways the new modern science. We'll get another spin of Stash's wheel, and we'll kick it all off with another episode of Where in the World with Mary J. White. Leaf Life continues in just a sec.
Your hosts for Leaf Life are Mike Ricker and Wes Abney. Leaf Life is produced by Mike Daly. Some of the music heard is provided by purple-planet.com. Every bit of cannabis you use is female, so please respect the ladies.
Leaf Life is brought to you by Leaf Nation, featuring Alaska Leaf, Oregon Leaf, Northwest Leaf, Northeast Leaf, Maryland Leaf, Amsterdam Leaf, and California Leaf. On the shelf now in your local retailer.
These products have intoxicating effects and may be habit-forming. Marijuana can impair concentration, coordination, and judgment. Do not operate a vehicle or machinery under the influence of this drug. There may be health risks associated with consumption of this product. For use by adults 21 and older. Keep out of the reach of children.
Some of the wardrobe, including Ricker and Wes's sick lids, is provided by Grassroots California. Check out the dopeness at grassrootscalifornia.com.